Welcome to Ask the Expert, an award-winning daily series from 8:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. to help small businesses. If you have any questions, please ask them in the feed of the comments. If you need any more advice, join the official Intuit QuickBooks SMB community group on Facebook. Accountants and business experts are on hand 24/7. During the live session, we'll be running a poll, so please do engage with it and I'll reveal the results at the end. So today's topic, what I really wanted to speak about is managing unexpected financial hurdles. And I'll go through a little bit of a background on me and what I do before I go into the hurdles we've faced this year. So my name's Jack. I own a luxury loungewear brand called Snuggy. We import products from overseas and sell them online direct to the consumer, products that you usually can't find on the high street. We're a young company. We coming up to our second year in business, and this year we came across probably the biggest hurdle that we'll ever face in the company, which I'll touch on a little bit more further in the live. But yeah, we're a young company and we've got a wide range of products, and we've shipped quite a lot in from overseas since we started. It's been our go-to shipping process, and we've got a really tight-knit community and a loyal customer base. So we really value our customers' opinions, and we interact with them as much as possible, and we stick by them. So the reason I mention that is because this is what we've thought about while facing these hurdles, and what we will continue to think about throughout the full duration of the company. So around about Christmas time, we placed quite a big order. It's the biggest order we've ever placed of our best-selling product, the Snuggy. And it was valued at over £400,000 worth, a big 40-foot container's worth, filled to the brim, a wide range of colours and the kids and adult sizes. And when we usually place orders by sea, the stock will just sort of arrive in 2 months. We'll get the call from the guys at the port, and no questions asked. It's all happy days, and it'll arrive with no stress or anything like that. But anyways, we placed this order around Christmas time, and it's shipped at the start of March. Around about the 20th of March, it wedged up. It basically, to put it bluntly, it crashed in Egypt. You might have seen it on the news and things like that, but it wedged up on the Suez Canal. So our stock was actually on the Ever Given ship. So this, at the time, we didn't realize how bad it was. We thought it'd be a little bit of a 2-week delay, which is fine. We'll get through it. So it got freed after a week, and we were thinking, okay, great. It's back on the way to us. But then 2 miles down the road, it pitched up and it got arrested and seized. And then it was held there for about 3 or 4 months. And to summarise, to this day, we still haven't got that stock, that fully paid for stock, which, as you can imagine, is a huge financial hurdle for a small business like us. So yeah, we just wanted to sort of touch on what things you can put in place to stop this from crumbling you as a company, to not leave yourself wide open, and sort of how to plan ahead to stop these things from really taking the toll on you, because this could have quite easily, like some other companies on that ship, could have quite easily ended any small business. So yeah, first thing we want to sort of touch on is to not leave yourself wide open. And it's quite a broad subject, but by that we mean really plan ahead and consider all outcomes. So something like this you can't really plan for. You expect the odd delay, but a 4-month delay when you've paid for such a large order, you can't really plan for, and it's just something you're going to have to sort of adapt with and make sure you've left something aside and you've got a plan B, which we did have, thankfully, to sort of overcome these hurdles. So planning ahead is the main thing. Instead of planning sort of 2 months ahead, you need to be planning a year ahead. And by planning ahead, we mean stock management and surplus cash and doing risk assessments and things like that. So when you place this order, you already need to be thinking about your next 2 orders. So we've placed this order and we're thinking, right, we sell all this stock and that's going to earn enough money to place the next order, which is going to be even bigger. And that's the sort of the blunt prospect of it. So you need to plan ahead for your stock and your ordering and your cash management. If you say, for example, not to scale, but if you've got £1,000 in the bank and your order that you've just placed is 900 quid, it's not really a sensible option. And you are leaving yourself wide open in that respect. So if something goes wrong like this, like what we're experiencing now, then you're leaving yourself in the best position financially, which will have a knock-on effect right down the company, and you'll probably start letting down some customers, which is essentially never what you want to do. So yeah, planning ahead is absolutely essential. Having surplus cash and managing your stock well is just the number one and number two rule for ordering online and overseas. Going back to the stock management thing, if you've got very little stock, you need to be placing your order well in advance. I don't really believe in selling out anything. I know it creates a little bit of demand sometimes in your product or service, but I mean, if you sell something out, you're going to lose them natural sales that are coming to your website with an intention to buy. So I don't really believe in it, and it's not something I like to do. So keeping well ahead on your stock, keeping a few months in advance is something that you really need to do, and it's something that we had to do, and we had to use our surplus cash that we saved for emergencies to get some more stock shipped in by air, to mean we didn't let any customers down, and to mean that we protected the reputation of the brand. So they're the main points, but the point that you sort of have in the background for any sort of things like this is insurance. And people think, no, it'll be fine. I won't need insurance. I never need insurance. But if we didn't have insurance on this, we would have been facing quite a hefty bill for when the stock arrived. It's really saved us, to be honest. So it seems a bit of a cost that you can avoid at the time, but it's just something that you really need to consider and have some sort of insurance in place. We were only insured for loss and damage, so thankfully nothing was lost or damaged, so we didn't need to go through it. But there was a whole thing called a general average that we didn't really sort of consider, and the insurance saved us a little bit. So I'm going to go to some questions now that have been sent in on social medias. We've got Sherry on Instagram DM. I noticed on the Snuggy website that a lot of the value of your product comes down to the quality of the materials. Can you tell us a little bit about how you source them? How did you rule out some of the materials and not others? Yeah, so we actually spent about 8 months sampling different fabric combinations, because the Snuggy is made up from 2 fabrics. It's got a flannel fleece on the exterior and Sherpa on the interior, and we were going down to really fine details, like things that the customer would never really consider. Stuff like, because we vacuum pack our products to save on storage and postage and things like that, we were vacuum packing them and then finding out how they creased in the vacuum pack, because we didn't really want a highly creased fabric. Just little things like that wouldn't really come to your mind, but we really took them into consideration over the sampling period. So we were sourcing them in the UK and finding out, we were just working with a local fabric supplier and finding out what worked well together. And then once we were happy with our fabric choices, we then found a supplier overseas and got them manufactured at the best possible quality and rate and things like that. So it was a long process and a lot longer than we'd expected, but we really wanted to make sure it was right and that we weren't sort of missing a trick. And because we launched November just before Black Friday, so we knew if we get this right, we're going to have a good first few weeks. And thankfully, we did get it right, and we did have a good first few weeks. So yeah, we spent our time on that, and it paid off in the end. This is from Murray on Twitter. In those initial moments when you found out your stock was stuck in the Suez Canal, how did you react, and what did you implement straight away? So it was really weird, to be honest. like I said earlier, we order something and a couple of months later it arrives. Usually we don't even know anything about the ship, what ship it's on, what journey it's taken. We just order something and 2 months later it arrives. So one morning I woke up to a text off my supplier, and it was just a message saying, "We've got an update about your recent order." And then he sent a picture of the Suez Canal ship wedged, the Ever Given ship wedged on the Suez Canal. And at the time, we didn't realize the extent of how bad it was going to get. We just thought, all right, it's crashed. It'll be another couple of weeks delay, and then we'll get our stock. And it wasn't until all of the news articles and that the really well-known press articles started covering it and saying that this is like the biggest thing in shipping history to happen, that we really thought we were going to have to start adapting and coming up with plan B. So we the first thing we done was we had a really damaged stock flow and cash flow problems, which meant we had to get some more stock shipped in by air, which, as you know, if you do ship from overseas, air shipping is very expensive, and it almost doubled our product price. But we had orders to fulfill and customers to keep happy, so we bit the bullet and used our surplus cash, which I mentioned earlier in the live, that it really helped us out, and we used that to sort of protect the brand and mean we didn't let any customers down. So that was the first thing we done. We got some more stock shipped in by air, and protected the reputation of the brand. Once we got that stock, we decided to sort of cut back on the advertising and really sort of make that stock last, if that makes sense. The last thing we wanted to do was to let anyone down and make anyone's experience with buying from us unhappy. So we cut our advertising down and we made that stock last, and that's how we initially adapted to the problem. Ash on Instagram, were you able to find alternative suppliers or shipping routes for the stock you lost, or was it a waiting game? Yeah, it was a bit of a catch-22 because we obviously paid for this stock in full. So it was a bit of a sticky situation we were in. We hadn't lost the stock. We knew where it was. It just wasn't moving, and it was a bit of a waiting game, like you said. There was an alternative shipping route that the ship could have taken. We would have had no power over this. It's completely the shipping, the captain's direction, but there was an alternative route which would have took another 5 days, which obviously he couldn't have taken because he was crashed. But it was a bit of a waiting game, and like I said, we still haven't got this stock. It's docked in the UK, but we now face another problem with there's not enough HGV drivers, but that's a whole other story. So yeah, it was a complete waiting game. We were powerless. We were only insured for loss and damage, which it was neither. So we just had to hang fire and just we lost a vital 6 months of our growth startup period that we won't get back. So it was a tough pill to swallow, but we're glad to be coming out the other side. This one's from Dina on Twitter DMs. Advice on any delays and how to play delays with customers. For example, with your situation, it held up sales fulfillment for more than a month. What would you have done to keep them happy? Well, it's like I said earlier, we got some stock shipped in by air, which again, we were a bit stuck in the mud. We didn't have any other choice to do this. The only other option was to let customers down, which we would never do. So we put our hands in our pockets and bit the bullet, and that's what we're doing. The knock-on effect goes right through the company. So the stock levels has a play on the cash flow. It means we can't advertise how we want to increase the cash flow because we don't have the stock to fulfill the orders. And then any natural orders that come through the website, them customers are none the wiser to what's going on behind the scenes. So they're expecting their order completely, which is why we had to get them shipped in by air, and which is why it's so important to keep an emergency stock and emergency cash if you ever, unfortunately, come across a situation like this. But yeah, the one thing we're really proud of ourselves about is that we've never let this get to our customers. We've managed to sort of keep this problem from hitting them, which is just huge for us because we've got a really good reputation and we didn't want to ruin it. This one is from Saeed on Facebook Messenger. I know influencer marketing is a big part of Snuggy's strategy. I've done a bit in previous roles, but we had a budget for it then. Now I run my own business. I want to get some genuine interest, but I don't necessarily have a big budget. Any advice? Yeah, good question. So in business, when you start off in business, you might not have a lot of budget. We didn't, and influencer marketing is a great way to get your brand off the ground. So it depends on what you offer. If it's a product or a service, you can do what's called gifting in the influencer world. So you'll find, the sort of bigger influencers, the ones with more followers and whatnot. They will probably not do gifting, but you've got to start somewhere. So it's a case of sending out a message to, say, 100 influencers, for example. You might only get a response from 10 of them, but you really want to keep it blunt and just say, hey, can we send you some free products? Just keep it very short and sweet and get their interest. Because if you go on with a big rant and a big paragraph and like a big, huge message, and then they're really going to lose interest and they'll probably just ignore you. So you just keep it short and sweet. Hey, can I send you a few products? And then once they reply, get into the sort of terms of it and say, yeah, we're happy to do that. And you say, okay, can you post within a week? Blah, blah, blah. And gifting's a really good way to start, because all it costs you is the cost of the product and the cost of shipping it to them. And then you can sort of gauge who works well for you off that. So if you gift to Ryan and he ends up selling you 5 products off his post, then you know that you can potentially work with him again in the future, and it's probably worth you giving him a small payment to do so. So yeah, gifting's the number one way to start, and even start locally if it's easier for you and feasible for your company. It's where I've started with one of my other brands. It makes sense to start locally and start right at the bottom and grow through there. This one's from Ellie on Instagram DM. Is there a general rule or percentage of money that we should maintain for a surplus in case of emergency? There isn't. No, it completely depends on how expensive it is, what you're ordering, and sort of how costly it is to you, but and also how easy it is to sort of get some backup stock and how quick it is. So there isn't a general rule or percentage we work off, but we sort of know the lead times that it takes us to manufacture new products and how much it costs us to manufacture new products. So that's what you really need to factor in. And as a rule of thumb, I'd probably be aiming for around the 20% mark of keeping like an emergency cash there. If you've got 10 grand in the bank and you're placing an order that costs over 8 grand, then you're really leaving yourself a little bit wide open there to get any stock shipped in by air or emergency stock or anything like that. So yeah, there is no rule of thumb to it, but you'll know in your business what you sort of need to keep aside, and it's just about making that mistake. You put yourself in the shoes of something's went wrong. Pretend that something's went wrong, and you're not going to get this stock for 6 months. How much do I need to sort of save us from going down? That's what you sort of need to envision yourself. This one's from Alex on Instagram DM. Have you ever had to renegotiate terms with the supplier? And if so, how did you go about it? Yeah, so we do. I renegotiate. I'm quite hard on my suppliers with renegotiating, especially when our order quantities go up. Every time you increase your order quantity, you should be asking for a better price, because the first order you place with them, chances are it's not the best price they can give you. So I renegotiate quite often. By terms, I don't know if you mean like credit terms or anything like that, but we don't have any credit terms. Everything we order is paid for in full before it ships. So, but yeah, in terms of the renegotiating the price of the product, we renegotiate all the time, and it's something I definitely recommend on doing, because you could be. They could just be a simple yes that they'll give you. Okay, yeah, we'll knock it down by this much, and you'll be thinking, oh, I should have done that earlier. So yeah, renegotiating's essential. Helena on Twitter. Outside of the basic insurance that all businesses are required to have, is there anything else that we should be looking into? Uh, yeah, well, if you're shipping from overseas, you definitely need to have that cargo insured. If we didn't have insurance on our recent order, it would have absolutely crumbled us. So um, it can just be a case of asking your supplier, is this insured, and they might insure it themselves. If they don't, then just say we need this. We need insurance included in the freight price, because it's just you don't realize how much it can pull you out of the mud. The insurance is there to protect you. Most of the time, probably 99% of the time, you're not going to need it, but that 1% could be absolutely crucial for your success. This one's from Tim on Instagram. We want to get people shouting about our product on social and posting pictures, but it's hard to create that buzz. What can we be doing to incentivize our customers to post? There's a couple of things you can do. So you can actually create. There's companies you can work with that create your brand ambassadors. So you obviously send the customer or your ambassador products to promote, and off that they will have their own customized discount code. And then from the customized discount code, they promote it and they earn a percentage of the sales that code generates. So that's ambassadors is something it's not new, but it's really rising at the minute. And there's more and more companies taking part in the ambassador schemes. And there's companies out there that will just handle absolutely everything for you. So maybe one that I know that I've spoke with recently is called Brand Ambassador. They're quite a big company that has like a really clever platform that you can manage your ambassadors on and send them product when you want to, give them missions to complete and things like that. So ambassadors is definitely probably the number one thing to have more people posting about, and their sort of followers will instantly react to what they offer. So if they're promoting one of your products, like I know we've got influencers that promote our products, and as soon as they post it, we see a spike in sales, and people think, all right, I want to buy one of them, I want to post it. So it has a little bit of a domino effect, but it's about also knowing your target audience. If you're not targeting the right people and the right influencers and the right ambassadors, then you're not going to get anything from it. They're going to post and no one's going to react with it. So you really need to know your target audience. This one's from Lawrence on Twitter. What sort of contingencies should we have in place for if we suddenly lose a supplier or supply route becomes blocked? Yeah, you should always have a backup supplier. You don't necessarily need to order from them, just inquire with them and see what they offer and find out the prices and like the manufacturing times and things like that. A backup supplier can really pull you out of a sticky situation. Even if your original supplier gets really tied up and has a bit of a delay or some personal things going on, anything can happen. So a backup supplier is definitely worth looking for. Just build that relationship and just speak to them every now and then. Make sure they don't forget about you and build a little bit of trust before you order with them. This one's from Anton on Twitter. Snuggy expanded quite quickly in a short time. What was your first hire and how did you maintain growth after acquiring your initial team? So there's actually 3 directors of Snuggy. So we didn't hire for quite a while. We managed to sort of all take up different roles and cover quite a few jobs over the 3 directors. So that was quite a good thing for us, really. In the first 6 months, we didn't take anything out of the business. We didn't pay ourselves a wage. We didn't do anything like that. We were just sort of essentially working for free. And I think that's probably the sensible, if you can do it, it's the most sensible thing to do during the startup period. But after that, after our first hire was someone for the returns and customer service side of it, because that was one of my roles in the start of the company. And as the company grows, you really need to sort of be putting your time in places where it's more valuable. So yeah, that was our first hire, and it was after about a year, I think, just over a year. So we managed the first year, and just 3 of us, 3 directors. I think we because we outsource quite a lot of our work as well. We use like apps like Fiverr, and we outsource our ad guys. So externally, they can work remotely, and they don't essentially have to be in the office with us, which is quite good. So it saves on costs, and it saves on paperwork and things like that. They can just sort of invoice you and work from wherever they want, and get stuff done on their own time and what suits us. So yeah, outsourcing has been quite good for us in the startup period. So the poll results are in. We asked you, outside of the pandemic, has your business faced any financial hurdles in the last year? 40% of you said yes, and 60% answered no. It's, to be honest, quite a high percentage for yes, even though it's only 40%. Financial hurdles don't come about often, but it doesn't mean to say that there's not one around the corner. So the 60% that answered no, it doesn't mean you should be not planning for something to go wrong, because everyone should have it in the back of their minds that things can go wrong. So yeah, I'm not shocked by it, but yeah, it's not a bad result, that. So thank you all for tuning in. If you want to get in contact with me directly, you can email me on inquiries@snuggy.shop. That's snuggy.shop. Coming up on Ask the Expert tomorrow is Tommy Eaton and Rebecca Dudbridge. They are co-founders of Bamboo Brush, who are on a mission to eradicate low-grade single-use plastics. Tune in to learn how you can change the world with your business. A reminder that if you need more advice, join the official Intuit QuickBooks SMB community group on Facebook. Accountants and business experts are on hand 24/7. I really enjoyed answering the questions today. You threw some good ones at me. So, yeah, thanks for that, and have a great day.